Make cinnamon streusel coffee cake. The cinnamon streusel coffee cake is a delightful treat often served in most coffee and bake shops. It goes well with a fresh pot of coffee, making it perfect for breakfast or for that light afternoon snack. In fact, this cake is one of the most consumed types of cake in the U.S., mainly because Americans love cinnamon. Anyway, to make one at home is pretty easy provided that you know your way around an oven. If you do, then this recipe should hit home. Begin the process. Before working on the cake itself, you will first need to preheat your oven so that once you are done working on the batter and the topping, you will be good to go for baking. The oven should be preheated at about 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Create the streusel topping. Do this first so that you won't have to scramble later. In a mixing bowl, pour in half a cup of flour, half a cup of softened butter, half a cup of brown sugar, a teaspoon of cinnamon, a pinch of ground cloves, and 1/4 teaspoon of allspice. Stir and mix the concoction together until it becomes coarse. You can use your hands. In fact, it is encouraged. Create the batter. To create the cake batter, throw in a cup of butter and beat it with a mixer. Add in a cup and half of powdered sugar followed by a couple of teaspoons of vanilla extract. Keep mixing until it becomes fluffy and light. At that point, you can add in a bowl containing sifted flour, 2 1/2 cups, salt, 1 teaspoon, baking powder, 1 teaspoon, and baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon. Keep mixing as you add about 4 egg whites as well as additional flour and about a cup of buttermilk. Keep mixing until the batter becomes nice and thick but still viscous. Start baking. This recipe is good for 2 cake pans. Place the batter on each pan greased up with shortening and a layer of flour. Insert the pans in the oven for about 10 minutes. Once the 10 minutes are up, open the oven and add in the streusel topping you made previously to the cake. Place the pans back in and bake for another 20 minutes or until the cake is done. To know if the cake has properly baked, use the toothpick trick wherein you poke the cake with a toothpick from the top. If it comes out cleanly, then your cake is done. As you finish baking, make sure to let the cake sit for about 10 to 15 minutes to cool. Do this before serving. When serving, a fresh pot of coffee is highly recommended to go with it. Bear in mind that you can also create muffins with this recipe provided that you have the muffin baking molds or tins available. Should you feel the need to store the cake for future ingestion, then you should completely cool the cake, place it in an airtight container, and refrigerate. When it comes time to serve the cake, you can heat up the cake by placing it in the oven for about 3 to 5 minutes.